difficult.
Yes. What are your thoughts on it?
But I think, I mean, totally don't know about this whole bacteries and this kind of things. You know, you have a lot of different kind of materials they are producing now, which I'm not completely following. But I do believe, honestly, like being a brand, even Y Project, we see that as our, with our followers. You know, like I think we have, even though we luxury, we're supposed to sell a dream. We also have a responsibility to. Because we are reaching to kids, we are reaching people, and I think the aim of everybody is to create a better world, no? And I think that's where we all want to end up somewhere there. So that's why it's very important that your message is about respect always. It's very important that you think about the future and the kids, and that you indeed include materials or work on projects where you are considerate about environmental issues, as we all have to, because that's what we have to struggle with. And it shouldn't be only that. As again I say, we are also thinking about artistic freedom, and I think art, and as it is, art is always polluting, because we don't really feel in a necessary. We don't really feel in a necessary need. We don't make the clothes I make are not specially there because to help people survive in freezing cold temperature. It's really more about a mental survival, empowering people, giving people a chance to express themselves and reinforce their personalities and feel happy and feel better about who they are. But it's not the basic needs like food or cold. But basically, yeah, I think it's responsible. I mean, like, we are touching a lot of people, a lot of kids, again, who are not able to buy Y Project because it's too expensive, whatever. They are following the style, they're following the energy, the artistic surroundings about it, and I think it's therefore important that we have a good statement.
So how about cotton? All right.
Cotton.
So you're not growing from kombucha at the moment.
We're not, and it's also very difficult. As we are growing and we have very small minimums, and a lot of these products have really high minimums. Cotton depends, you know, like we are including good certified materials in our collection, the more the better. We are not an ecological company yet. I think it's, for example, you know, cotton is very polluting. The water waste is massive. We still have cotton. We try to have cotton which are certified. That's that.
Yeah, because I mean that in itself saves a lot of water because no pesticides, etc.
But for example, we do include a lot of linen, and linen is supposed to be a much easier product, which has a less big impact and has a very similar vibe as cotton, obviously. So linen is definitely one of our main products. Most of our materials are in Europe, or developed in Europe. Hand-woven tweeds, all those kind of things, and yeah, I think it's important.
And where is it manufactured?
The tweeds, for example, or the Harris tweed, you know, for example, Scotland, in the Isle of Harris, actually. So yeah, it depends from material to material. I mean, like, of course, we're using fake leather, which is polyester. We're using fake fur, which is also polluting. It's just less polluting than the real one, and that's for pieces which I believe then are again statement pieces and more artistic pieces. Then again, you know, like, I'm not going to be a person saying like no to leather. I think leather is a material which is very how do you say this? Like, it's if it's well used in pieces which are timeless, which are pieces which can live different kind of generations, which are not just like the item of the season. I think leather is very environmental friendly. It lives for a very long time. We take good care of it. It lives for generations, and in that way, it's better than plastic. So yeah.
Talking about plastic, would you ever use fabric made from plastic? Reusable plastic?
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Another movement at the moment.
Definitely. I mean, if it's an artistic piece, why not? You know, like, it's part of a thing. I mean, I would never use fur because I think fur is a very old-fashioned product in the way that also that it is not sustainable in the way that it's so fragile. It dies super fast. You have to take care of it. The animals suffer a lot.
Cookies too.
Cookies also. And that's where I think fur is a bit like past, you know, it's not enough for our era. But plastic, no, it's definitely, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like right now we're having a kind of revolution in Paris, like with the yellow jackets and stuff. You created kind of a revolution in fashion in Paris because Paris is very conservative. And how did you go about breaking through? I know freedom's more important to you than anything else.
Yeah, but I think artistically Paris is always the city, you know, like I think I've always, people do say it's a revolution now in Paris, there's a younger generation, and I believe that. But I also think that, I mean, like when I saw in the past Bruno Peters showing in Paris, he was one of the most exciting designers in the 2000s. It was happening in Paris, you know, like it was happening everywhere. No, it wasn't happening everywhere, it was really happening in Paris. The only difference is that in those days, or like until now, all the excitement was based on a very luxury product and in a very classic way of thinking about luxury, tailoring, like really the more elegant but older kind of way of thinking. Well, I think now the excitement also is projected on new product groups and on new customers, where that's the revolution today. But creativity was always number one in Paris. I mean, Nicolas Desquer at Balenciaga was the best collections I've seen in forever, you know, like, and who can ever top that? Like,
You can.
I can. I mean, like, of course. Maybe. I'm hoping. It's different. It's a different way of working.
Of course, yeah. And you work in a way that's very open with all your collaborators and interns. Like you take their input. Like you could be inspired by something somebody's wearing and maybe twist it around and figure out new techniques, and then see how other people can interpret the techniques.
I mean, we are believing in this democratic vibe. I mean, we're also selling that in a collection. The collection is celebrating very different kind of people for very different kind of reasons. As you can see also in the office, it's a very open office. My commercials are around. They're coming in and out all the time, making noise. Here's my desk. Closing the doors. I have to tell them to keep quiet. I mean, the studio's there. It's very important. Why I'm here is because the commercials are here, because they can have the input on the collection. When I do my fittings, they can see the fittings, and they tell me what they like, what they don't like. It's up to me then to do whatever I want with it. But I think it's important to have different point of views. Also, again, the company with 25 people, we have 25 different nationalities. They have 20 different kind of approaches, thinking about clothes, seeing clothes. It's very important. This is very important in the collection. You can feel it in the collection as it's so diverse. And yeah, this is what we believe in. I think we all have to find our own personal way how to express ourselves and how to be happy.
Can you open this
Yes,
for
of
me?
course. I will.
How can you, I'm sure like a lot of people would love to work here. What are you looking for when you're hiring someone?
Integrity. I think first of all, integrity. They have to be very respectful people, because we are all working very closely together. So there's no place for. I mean, strong characters are very welcome, but you have to respect each other, and you have to be like. Also like the nice thing is also, for example, an intern at Y Project really has his product. The intern is not there to make coffee or to clean up patterns. They really have their products they will develop from beginning to the end. So it's a very independent way of thinking. I mean, I'm going to sell this brand too much now. We'll have so many letters of but they are. The poor Frankie is suffering. But the thing is also he gets a lot of CVs every day. No, but we believe really also. It's a bit of this. I heard it was the Google way of working. It's where. I mean, we're all responsible for our work. We know our workload. It's up to you to decide where you place your workload. Do you work in the evening? Do you work in the morning? Do you work in the weekends? I'm very free as long as you're there in the meetings, in the fittings, and.
That's great. That's quite. That's pretty amazing, because most people don't work like that. But I think that makes so much sense, because you always hear like these old stories of designer comes in at 3 a.m. and decides that's when everybody has to come in and work.
Yeah, no. I don't decide everything actually. But I have my schedule, so I say like I can't be there in the afternoon because of this. But basically, it's they who tell me when I have to be here for the fittings.
That's
So it's
great.
I'm here whenever. Well, I mean, I have to. They have to be a bit flexible as I have a lot of appointments
Sure.
around, of course. But I'm not the. No, it's really. The idea is that yeah, we have to help each other, and that's we try to help each other at the most. Mm.
No, it's great. It's funny, like this idea, the open office is very Japanese, no?
I've never worked in Japan.
No,
That would be. I've been in Japan, but never worked there. So
but you probably
yeah.
sell a lot in Japan.
We do. Asia became very strong actually in the last 2 seasons. Yeah, really like almost kicked the other markets as number one. They're competing.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. And you took a while to introduce accessories. Like even before I go into accessories, I want to say like, well, it is accessories. Your collaboration with Oog, like you took a brand that people would never associate with fashion, and you made it through the designs of the shoes, but also the communication.
The shoes, yeah. But yeah, that
How
we're
did
talking
that all
about
come
UGG, no?
about? I
Yeah,
call it
UGG.
Oog. Ugg.
UGG. Well, the thing is, we get a lot of requests for interviews, for collaborations. I mean, it's definitely an era where collaborations are big and everybody likes to do it, and I actually also like to do it, but it has to make sense. I'm not going to be the other designer doing collab with this brand again. I want to really make it. It needs to be a proper story which fits to ours. So I thought UGG was amazing because UGG is such a straightforward shoe. I mean, it never claimed to be a fashion shoe or a pretty shoe. It always claimed to be a really warm shoe. It was designed for surfers coming out of the Pacific Ocean with their freezing little feet. They had to like heat up their feet as fast as possible, and that shoe, that form really followed the concept. And that's why I think it's a really good product, because it's really in your face, straightforward and honest. So that was fun. So then, of course, the whole challenge was like, how can I own such an iconic shoe? And the idea was like, well, the reason for the existence of that form is the comfort. So let's just make this bigger. So we of course had, like as I said in many interviews, we just put the whole leg in this shoe. Then everything is really warm and comfortable, and that was where it started. And of course, the idea was also like, as we're in an era with a lot of collaborations, I was like, okay, we're not going to be another collaboration. We have to own that. So it was really important for me with UGG that we had the collab going over 2 collections, menswear, womenswear, and that there was a proper campaign with it. And the proper campaign had to reflect this whole identity of UGG, so basically, and Y Project. So basically, it is about legends. So just, I don't know if people saw the campaign or not, but it's basically historic paintings recreated with models and wearing Uggs. And the historic paintings are all goddesses and mythical figures, which I think fits to UGG as it's such a mythical shoe. It's really legendary shoe. So it's Venus coming out of, like, being born out of the ocean. UGG is a surf brand, so Venus is surfing on the ocean. It's a rebirth, it's a new collaboration, so it's a new story of UGG, working together with a brand like Y Project, which is such a conceptual design brand. And then, of course, it had to have all the historic touches of Y Project, all the fun factors of Y Project. So I was very happy with the campaign. And the campaign basically came together with the design of the shoes. It arrived at the same moment. And we negotiated about the shoes as the campaign at the same time. It took, of course, 1 year to develop those campaigns. But it was really fun, and I'm really happy with it. And it was also really nice to work together with Arnaud Lagenie on that, my home photographer. Basically, he does all the campaigns of Y Project in one style of shooting. With Ursula Gissi, my stylist, she does all the shows, all the campaigns. And it was fun to work with UGG now, because we, in our little trio, we call ourselves a bit the golden trio. We could do it in a whole different way and work with a massive commercial brand and do something very differently, still being very ourselves, but for a very different kind of product and a very different kind of customer. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, for me, it put it on the map. But Your bag, is it around here?
Oh, the bag. I don't think you have a bag here, though. Do you have a bag here? It's probably with Robin at our press agent. The accordion bag. Yeah, it's
Tell me about, like, it took a while before you introduced bags and shoes, right?
But the thing is, like, I mean, when I took over Web Product 5 years ago, it was a very small.
5 years now.
4 years and a half, yeah. It was a
Yeah.
very small brand with a very, very different past, and there was a very difficult situation. We don't have a proper investor. We don't have an investor, actually. We do everything like very, very softly, step by step. We're also not this kind of brand which is just having sweaters with a big logo, so we can sell thousands of logos, sweater logos. I appreciate that, but I still want to own the design somewhere. I really want to. I want to be. That's again. I think it's about respect for my customer. I think if a customer buys a basic sweater with a logo, I don't respect him because I'm really fooling him. And that's also, I think, if they want to have a sweater 500 euros, there has to be work on it. They have to feel that I was busy on it and I love the design and I really worked on the design. They have to feel that my team has been developing it, worked on design. There has to be something about passion and love in every garment. That's why our garments are quite worked out all the time. It's not just a logo. That's really for why that's my take, of course, because I want this brand to be like that. And then therefore we also have a very slow but very steady growth. Like now we grow every season 20 to 30%, but it's a steady, slow growth, and that's also why we steadily add every season a new product group. Indeed, the bags are the last ones to be added, last women's wear. Shoes we have since 3 or 4 seasons, accessories a bit before. And it's really when the time is ready. And it's also like, the thing is, we are a small team, in total, as I said, we're 25, but in the studio we are 7. We are 7 people doing every single pattern.
7 people doing all
every single pattern, everything is done in house.
That's great.
Every fabric development is done in house. I want also, before I start a new product group, I want to be sure the one I started before is properly set and grounded and the fundamentals are properly based. And that's the moment where I can concentrate on something new. And it's also because of me, I really need to concentrate on something different and be sure that my team owns another one, that my team owns the product group from before, that we have under control, that my production is under control before launching something new. And we don't want to burn ourselves. We want to take it step by step, and I think that's good.
That's a Belgian mentality more than
I guess so. That's the feedback I hear.
very grounded.
We want to be grounded also. But also the thing is that I don't have a lot of budget. As we're growing, and I think everybody in any kind of industry knows that a company in growth is a company in difficulties, because you always have to reinvest your growth, and you're always one season behind, so you're always behind. So it's always difficult, and the thing is,
But it's gone from like 15 doors to how many now?
now we're like around 160s, yeah. So no, it's and it's in 2 years, obviously, because the thing is, the first 2 years were 2 years based on transitioning. So we went from the historic brand to the new one. We never increased doors. We just changed the doors. We just went from a more dark artisanal leather store to a more conceptual, fun store. So we just switched identities, switched the stores, but never grew. And I know we're growing a lot, but the thing is, as we have a small collection plan, as we have a small team, 95% of my initial collection plan I draw and I give into my team to develop into the collection. 95% is one-to-one in that show and in the showroom. There's no place for failures that much, there's no place for plan Bs. It's very calculated actually at this stage. It's super, super, super calculated. It's just because, we're growing.
When's your birthday? You're Virgo? No.
No, I'm a Taurus, but I have
Taurus,
I have
okay,
a Virgo ascendant. Is that good? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it probably is coherent with the way you approach things.
Yeah.
Jill is very lucky to have you, I think.
I hope he knows.
I think it wouldn't be much question. But the bags, how many are there? I mean, I know that one accordion bag.
And one crystal bag. So basically, there's like 3 styles for women's wear: the accordion in big and small, and then the crystal bag. That was really good because that's also how we want to start. You know, like we start small. The first shoes we did, we had 3 styles of shoes also. The first collection. Now we start the menswear bags coming in January at Pitti. We have the menswear shoes
Oh,
coming
right,
in.
you're the man in Pitti.
Yeah, we're showing the man.
Wow,
It's
I love it.
super excited. Also, Pitti is such a nice platform. So we will have a bit more women's wear bags also in January with Pitti. And then we have the women's wear collection in February, which is going to grow. But it's nice to start small. Again, you know, because it's the first time we work with this factory. We never worked with a bag factory in the past.
Where is it? In Italy?
In Italy, yeah. It's all in Italy. So we had to get to know each other. So don't overwork them. Don't overwork everybody to see how it works. And it was actually, the bags were quite big success instant.
Yeah, no, I mean, it got a lot of press. It got a lot of press, for sure.
Yeah.
It's nice, though. The idea is like kind of an iconic bag that you keep in the line.
Yeah, but that's, you know,
Why
definitely, this bag is going to stay.
Yeah, no, it's
The bag is going to stay. That's also nice. I mean, like that's also the nice thing about bags is that you can actually revisit them by using new materials, by new finishings. But it's nice to always have a nice statement bag also there, and just find a continuation.
And when you're designing your signature collection, a lot of the pieces are similar in the men's and the women's. You don't think of
A lot.
you don't think of putting them together, save money, one show.
But no, because actually this is definitely the question my CEO is asking, of course. As one collection, one show, one big show though. I mean, until now what we wanted to do is also, I mean, we are getting, the sales were always a bit faster than our press, let's say.
Which is great.
Which is great, yeah, which is great. But it's quite important that people understand also the identity of the brand. And the identity of the brand is based on versatility since the very beginning. Meaning that it's really versatility and individuality. So basically it means that one jacket can be super elegant and on a guy, and then super rough on a woman, or vice versa. The idea is that it should prolongate the identity of the person. It should prolongate the personality, and that's why I really like to show the men's and women's wear independently, that people can really understand that coat on a guy looks like that coat on that kind of girl looks like that, or it doesn't matter. And it's really to show that we really work, not the whole collection, but a lot of our pieces are supposed to grow on somebody, and are therefore a bit adaptable, adjustable, whatever, so people can own them. And I think it's normal because, I mean, it's already like, just as I said, like in the office, we are 25 different people, different backgrounds, different stories, living together, working on the same product and understanding each other perfectly. As I also think I myself, I am 25 different people in a week, you know, like I can be a very reasonable businessman, as a very annoying club kid, as a lover, as the perfect little grandchild, and I love all my different personalities. I really embrace them, and I think it's great. And like a caring godfather, I'm all of these people, and why can't my clothes always follow those different moods that I have? I think that's also fun. That some jackets, you know, they can take a layer off, they're more clean, you can put a layer, they're more draped, you can zip things open, clean them up, make them more trashy, make them more sleek down. It's not all the collection. Sometimes they have to be more simple also, but I think it's part of the brand, and that's why I think it's important to still show them a bit independently, that people really understand, oh, this is the same jacket again. I mean, of course, different fabric, but they're like, oh, wow.
That's very well articulated.
Thank you so much.
and evening wear was really kind of a surprise, and beautiful surprise this season.
But we always work a bit on it. I mean, since we show women's wear, we always have a bit of this kind of gowns and things, and that's my personal little obsession. As of course I come from Belgium, I come from Bruges, which is a super elegant, aesthetic city. It's a medieval town. Everything is uniform. It's beautiful. It's super fancy, and I think I've always been very much fascinated by classic elegance since my child because of the surroundings and because of the luck I had to live in such kind of museum town. And I think actually you can see that with Y Project. That's if you look at silhouettes from far, if you see it coming up just in the catwalk and you don't see it, it's like a bleached denim or an iron or whatever, you actually think it's always a little cocktail kind of silhouette. We always try to work on an elegant silhouette. And of course, then from close you see it's all different kind of things. And then of course sometimes, I mean, I also just want to make it pure, you know, and make this kind of gowns and make cocktail dresses, and then of course always with a twist. We're never going to make, I think that's very Belgian, we're never going to make a pretty dress because it's just pretty. We're going to make a pretty dress because there's a reason behind it. And I think that's the Belgian way of thinking. I think even Dries, when he makes a beautiful dress and beautiful fabric, it's not just beautiful fabric and pretty dress. The whole reason why this fabric is there's always a whole concept for this fabric. He developed it because there's a whole story. And that's I think the Belgian way of thinking.
And one last question.
Yeah.
If you were to create a fairy tale, what would it be like?
I think reality is a bit fairy tale, no? I think it's today. it's very, I mean, imagine all the, it's very absurd, no? Today.
Yeah.
Everything is absurd. I think there's so many miracles. Obviously, I mean, my personal fairy tale was always history, as that's how I grew up in, and my parents, when I went on holiday, they would bring me to, they would never do anything child-orientated. They would always bring us to museums and castles and whatever, and we would never complain because they would bring it as a fairy tale. You know, they would always talk about Joan of Arc as the fairy tale she is, and really bring it in a bit of a childish way. But like that's how they kept us calm, and how they could visit their things, and we were calm and happy and just enjoying those trips. And I think that's how I see history also as a very big fairy tale. But today is also really much of a fairy tale.
Or a nightmare, one way or the other.
It depends how you look at it. It's also the Belgian way. If you look at things in a different way, you can see the good things in it. And I think there's always a positive way of looking at things, hopefully.
Yeah. Are you taking a holiday?
I am very lucky that I can take Christmas off. Yeah, the thing is, we're starting January 2nd to do the looks here. As we do PT is the 9th of January. So basically we lost 2 weeks in the normal schedule, as Paris Fashion Week is 2 weeks later. So we start January 2nd, then we go to do the looks, then we go to Milan to do the casting and the fittings, and then we go to Florence to do the show and the preparation. So basically we have a collection over 3 major cities, so it's going to be rough. But luckily there's going to be Christmas. We're going to be fat from all the food, so I'm going to have a lot of energy to deal with the Italian. I'm going back home to see my godchildren, my grandparents, and to rest.
Great.